Sorry, I will just record this session for the sake of those who are unable to join us this evening, and for your perusal a bit later when you have time. As I was saying, I'd like to welcome you once more to this webinar this evening and appreciate you getting time to join us. This webinar is brought to you by the Africa Sales Community. I'll not get tired of saying that, which I happen to manage. And I'll be your host today through this session. And as we go through the session again, for those of us who have questions or those will arise along the way, feel free to leave that in the chat box. And also you can preserve them to the end of the presentation, as our speaker will be able to go through your questions later on. In this moment in time, I'd just like to invite our speaker. Our speaker this evening is Daniel Njoroge, who's within our bounds today. Daniel is very passionate about customer delight and is ever convinced that a delighted customer is not a company's business, but a company's only business. And that is why he believes he has a very efficient way to go through his pipeline and satisfy his customers. And that's why we have him today to just give us a little more brief or insight on lead qualification, which I believe for a salesperson is also very, very key in developing your sales and your customer base. So Daniel, karibu sana, and feel most welcome, Daniel. Okay, you're jumping right to the presentation. You're on mute, so.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I hope you're all fine. Please confirm to me that I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, you are.
Thank
nice
you.
to actually hear people.
Yeah, I like that. So that it's, this web thing, sometimes you never know, you might be alone. Only people can log in and go along and with their business. But I'm so excited this evening to be here, and I thank you for coming. And if you can reach out to more people, you can tell them come so that we can have this conversation. It is more of a chat. I'll be sharing what I know and what I am still learning. I start by saying I'm a sales student. I am ever learning. So this session is also about me teaching myself and learning as it may be for you. And I would also want, if the interaction will allow and time, I would also want to learn from you. I'm a student, as I insist, and therefore look at me from those views of we are here to learn together, and I'll be facilitating the learning process. As I tell you, either I could be reminding you what you know, I could be mentioning something that could be new, I could fall short of what you already know, but at least I will have confirmed to you that you still know a lot and you can continue now getting better. And that way, we can speak to Sudi and tell them the next time you want someone, I think I can do better. I have more info I can share. So let's make it quite a learning process. And that's how I would want to take it. So my name is Daniel, and I love happiness. So I usually feel more motivated when I'm in a sphere or in a space that I can be happy. Therefore, I think if I was to pick a smiley that would represent who I am, I would pick one that is smiling, because even though life is not always so smooth, I always believe whatever you do, just smile. And therefore, this evening, I'd be looking at being able to do a lot of that through our interaction, through the conversation, through what I share. And I'll try to be as open or as real as it gets based on my own personal experiences and what I've been through and what has worked and not worked. And I'll just be sharing it out there anyway. So I work for InterSwitch as a salesman, but I have been able to identify my life purpose to be inspiring excellence. I like pushing people to be the best they can. Why? Philosophically speaking, I believe that everybody was created for a purpose by God. And we cannot live our life here just doing enough, just enough, average. I'm gonna have to push you to be the best you can because you owe that to the world. You are occupying a very vital part when you are alive, kicking, healthy, knowledgeable, working. That's everywhere you think about. You have an inspiration, you have an opportunity to perform at the excellence levels. And therefore, when I figured my life, I thought, I think my purpose in life is to actually inspire excellence in people. And it does not matter where you throw me. It does not matter which job you give me to do. I would always try the best I can with the help of God to inspire excellence into those I come across. So every touch point that we may be with you, I may be very irritating sometimes because I will always be pushing you to be better than you can, to be better than you are, and to always keep growing. So generally, inspiring excellence in life. So it doesn't matter whether it is in sales, I will tell you I'm inspiring excellence in sales, like we want to do tonight. Inspiring excellence in leadership. I also speak a lot about leadership. I speak a lot about customer experience. I speak in wellness issues, fitness, and so on. I speak around family, all those things. The mantra from where I sit is always that we need to inspire excellence in those things. And that's me, therefore, and my purpose. And you may now start viewing me from that of, I am not here really to teach you, or I want whatever it is that is in you, I want to inspire it to be better. I want to see you getting better and better and better because I believe in you and I believe that you can. And I believe that him who started the good job in you will be able to bring it to fruition to the very end. The person who gave you an opportunity to serve as a salesperson took a risk on you, if I may use that word. And by taking a risk on you, the best you can is to give them back there in terms of being the very best you can in it. I wanna inspire that in you. And I hope through our conversation, it will start coming out clear on what then can we do to be very excellent in the sales department. Speaking of inspiring excellence in family, I got 3 girls who live with me. They're my family, and that is my wife and 2 daughters. And I also have a granddaughter. You can see her here. She is also part of our life. Therefore, I say I'm a father of 2 girls, and also of I'm usually given those these granddaughters by my girls. Basically, that's my family. And I also believe in the family institution. I believe in the ability to inspire people to actually do best they can. This is the girl I'm speaking about as my granddaughter, if you get what I mean. So let's jump into it. We are here to have a conversation around the sales pipeline. And I will now start by going to this slide right there. And please, just the way you so well confirmed my voice could be heard, please confirm that my slides are actually moving. I have some experience where you are moving your screens on your side, but on the audience side, they are not moving. Are they moving on your side?
Yes, they're moving.
Yes.
So I hope that what you have now on the screen is about professional selling. And I don't want to jump into that argument that never comes to an end. Is selling a science or an art? From where I sit, I think it's a combination of both. And we may look at both the science and the art. But granted, some segments are more scientific than they are an art. When it comes now to things like presenting, you start applying both science and art as a mixture. And also the follow-up will also be an art majorly. And how do you not become an irritant when you are following up? But basically, every time you think about selling, it falls into these 3 major groups. Number 1 is prospecting. Number 2 is now where you have qualified your prospect and you are sure this might be the right one. And then you go and present your solution. Once you present, experience have it that you are not likely to get the yes or the no on the spot. You may now need to do a follow-up. And now once you do the follow-up, you are now likely to close. So before you onboard a customer, from the point you are introduced to them, maybe it was a referral or you did a cold calling, you are likely to go through these three major groups. We speak a lot about all of them, but this evening will be biased around one, and that is prospecting. There is a lot we have to have a conversation around presenting. There is a lot around follow-up, but today we will look at prospecting and just narrow our session there. But before we jump into prospecting, the reason why even this evening was set up is to inspire all of us into doing better in sales. Everybody who is in sales is trying to increase their sales. Nobody is in sales to say, hey, I don't want to close a lot, I just want to close very few. No. Ideally, by the nature of it is that everybody who is selling wants to sell more and more and more. And now I like one writer who, this is Brian Tracy, who says that if you want to increase your sales, as it might be our purpose this evening, all of us, increasing our sales, there are two things you can do, or there might be one thing you can do. Either you increase the quality of the activities across this journey, from prospecting to follow-up. You might want to increase the quality of it, or the quantity of the activities. And now there is a third one I usually add, which is a hybrid, the quality and the quantity of what you do across these three. So I believe in the ability to prospect right in terms of the quality, but also to prospect enough, the quantity. I wanna look at your pipeline and I want to have the feeling of it is not only quality that the customer you're speaking to ticks all the boxes, as you are going to see, but also, is it enough? Is it big enough to actually help you meet your targets, get to where you are? When we go to presenting, it is the same concept. I need to see the quality of your presentation. It must be up there, tick, well done, well prepared, and all. But also, how many presentations are you doing? How much time are you really spending with the customers? How much time are you actually spending doing the actual presentation than not just preparing it? You know, jumping from just hoping and wishing to actual applying it on the ground. As they say in sales, hope alone is not a strategy. You cannot say this year, I am hoping to close so many sales. That's okay. But then I will follow up quickly and ask you, okay, good. Hope, pray, believe, very nice. Now, show me the how. And in you are showing me the how, all I want to hear is about who are your prospects, both in quality and in quantity. How are you following up on these prospects? Again, in quality and in quantity. And finally, once you have done the presentations, the nature of sales is that you have to do follow-up. So how are you spending your time? How often are you doing follow-ups? How well are you doing the follow-ups? How much are you looking for help where it is needed? How well are you speaking to the right people that need to be talked to? Did you just do a presentation and left it there? Did you even present it to the decision maker? Anyway, is the person you are so busy talking to the right person? So all those are things that now comes into a professional selling. And by professional selling, I mean we are not just doing what they call in French, tu do the kind of selling. That's in the special French, most of you may not know, but it's called tu do the kind of selling, where you are just throwing anywhere, hoping something comes up. We are talking of a professional salesperson that you should be. And let me tell you something very interesting. Professional sellers, people who are very good at what they do in sales, tend to be the most highly paid professionals in the world. because generally speaking, you may not even limit how much a salesperson earns. Their power is usually on your hand based on what type of sales you do. Therefore, I want you to be very professional. I want to be able to do it well. I want you to believe so much in it. And there's a whole lesson again we take people through on believing in yourself as an art of selling, you know, and or even a science in it. The issue is you must believe in it first. However, let's come back home. Today we are talking prospect, and we are looking at how to do it and to do it right. But I thought I need to give that overview of, think about sale from whatever section. You will start by prospecting, a lot will go into it. You will go and do the presentation, a lot will go into it, and then you have to do the follow-up. Yeah, okay. You have to do the follow-up. Again, do it well. So the way you increase the quality and the quantity of what is happening between this, where you are and where you want to be, makes a lot of conversations at it. Now, what is a sales pipeline, therefore, if I may jump into it? Think of a pipe. It is just a mfereji pipe. The people who know a pipe, I'm trying to draw one here, whereby this part on top is usually very wide, and it goes becoming thinner and thinner and thinner until it gets to the end. That's why it is referred to as a pipeline. The issue is that it is just on top, it is like a funnel. Actually, it's also called a sales funnel. For those who may remember the traditional way of putting kerosene into a traditional lamp, there are those funnels that you used to buy, and you pour quantity on the top such that it's able to hold, and then you put it puts the fuel into the lamp on the below part, which is thinner. Now, if you think about just recently when we had fuel crisis in the country, some people actually learned a lot about pipeline, about the funnel. They would go and get fuel with a kibuyu, that packet, and then they come and have to put it in the car. So generally, this is how a sales life would generally look like. So what does it actually mean? If you are doing, and this conversation will be very much biased towards the B2B kind of selling, where you are talking to businesses, where they require to sit down, make a decision, and so on. So it means that up here, when you are starting your conversation, you start with so many customers. So many of them are coming into your funnel. But as the life continues, some of them are falling off. And that is why we are now talking of qualifying a lead. So many customers will be your suspect up here. You are suspecting based on your product and all, as I'm going to demonstrate in the next slide. This person is likely to buy my product. So you get their contact, you get their email addresses, their phone number, they have been referred to you, and you are now pouring them into this funnel here. You keep pouring and pouring and pouring. Ideally, you should be pouring so many. And how many you pour here is also actually scientific in nature. And most of the sales experts say, if you want to close one customer up down here, if you want to end up with one customer, they give the number of between 7 and 20, that you need to be talking to 7 and 20 kind of customers up here. So already, as you can see, even in its shape, it is not straight. So you cannot be looking to close one customer and you are speaking to one, or you have to close 2 customers and you're only speaking to 2. By nature, you will have the people, if you target 20, maybe 10% will come, 1% will come. So the number can range between 7 and 20, but the more the better. But there's also a measure so that you don't waste your time always speaking to suspects. You have to share your time between the number of suspects you're bringing in. These are now the potential opportunities that are likely to come to your business. Let's say you are selling cars. If you are selling cars and your target is to sell 2 cars, how many people do you need to speak to by the time you hit the 2 cars that you are selling? You have to speak to 14 to all the way to 100 people, and maybe only 2 of them will come. So the issue is you have to be very disciplined in ensuring that your pipeline up here is as wide as it is logically can. And you are identifying opportunities, and the opportunities can be as many. Let's say you have been employed by a bank, let's say like Stanchart or by Equity, and your job is to sell accounts, and in the type of accounts you are selling are the high net worth individuals. So you have been told that we want people who are running 300K and above or 500K and above, based on how you segment your customers in your organization. You will now have to think, if I've been told that I have to bring 10 customers a month, every single month, how many more customers therefore do I need to target, so that even if I don't hit the sun, I'm going to fall at the moon, and that way will still be above my target? Because the whole idea here, ladies and gentlemen, is to close as many sales as possible. We started by saying nobody is in this call hoping to close as few as it gets. So suspect as many as you can, and logically so, and you put them in your pipeline. Once you have identified the opportunity, the next big thing that we'll be speaking about is the prospecting. Now, there are 1,000 people who are likely to be high net worth individuals in this country. I have identified 1,000. I even know them by name. I know them by where they work. I am now, that whole list is a suspect, a list full of suspects that I can talk to. Okay. Now the next activity, and now this is where now it differentiates the professional sales guy with the kawaida, or the normal one who are going to fail, is how well now you qualify them. And qualifying actually also involves disqualifying. So out of the 20 you put in here, you now may come down and reduce them to 15. Why? After now interrogating them, or doing some research on them, or asking questions about them, whatever it is, the way you do your research, you are going to know that number 1, 7, 15, and 20, those cannot be your customers for whatever reason you have used, and then you throw them out. They are no longer worth your time. So you can see now your funnel is reducing. If you started here with 20, now we are at 15 here. Those are now prospects. And now these 15 are very quality. They are likely to, based on the definition of your customer, now these guys really fit your customer. Now the next thing you ask yourself, now out of these good ones that I have now identified, let me now start the real work, where now the rubber meets the road. You now need to approach them. They're approaching. You're now approaching them with an offer on table. You want to understand them more. You want to understand their pain points. You want to understand their opportunities in life. You want to understand their KPIs where they work based on the product you sell. If you are selling to a head of a department in a bank whose job is to increase the number of loans, you now know exactly that their bigger picture is increasing the number of loans. So you will approach them with a solution that is likely to help them increase the loans. You might be selling cars, and maybe you are selling rollies. The rollies that you sell are for farmers. Now you're able to approach this guy so that they're able to, to the people who are in a farm, you now want to go and know, this guy wants a tractor, and your job is to sell tractors. You now need to know how many tractors do they need, and do they even have a budget? You are now analyzing these guys one by one, knowing, are they really the right one? And then now here you now get the opportunity to go and present. You must understand your customer very, very well before you even start selling them the product. Let me tell you an example. You see, we have now moved from the suspect to the prospect to the approach. This is it should be very clear for you on how you are doing it, so that you are not wasting your time, and also not really wasting your time anyway. It is both about your time and your target customer's time. You don't need to be called by a guy telling you that I want you to buy a tractor. Today, I'm not running any large farm, quit and all. So if you have been told by your organization to sell tractors and you called Daniel to buy a tractor, you're actually wasting your time and my time. You should be able to take your time do homework and actually establish that this guy is actually likely to buy a tractor, or is looking for a tractor, or he might need a tractor, but he doesn't know he does, and therefore I stand a chance. At that point, you are now analyzing. You approach, you analyze, and approaching can be so many ways. You can call, you can visit the office, you can write an email, you can get an introduction. So again, that's a whole day, this talk about how now to approach. It's a whole session, lesson. However, today we are just looking at how the leads are now falling off. Once you do approach and analyze why this is getting thinner again, is that you are going to go and establish. You thought Daniel, because you saw him on somewhere on Instagram in a farm, visiting a wheat farm in Narok, you thought it is his farm or he's affiliated to it, only to realize he was actually just passing by, going to Masai Mara, and decided to, he has got zero interest, not even ability to buy. So again, you kick him out of that pipeline. It is now reducing. So this is the point where you're asking, again, is this person worth my time? It goes reducing. Now, once this is now good and you are now with the right customers, now your pipeline is coming thinner, but it's becoming more quality. At this right point is now where you are negotiating. So here other factors now will start coming. You have already established these guys need a tractor. These guys can take a HNI kind of a product or a credit card. This person can buy a product, a solution that is able to help me to help them to sell more loans, or whatever product to sell. Think about it, and now think about the person you have gotten is the right one. Now here you are negotiating on how do they pay, how much you are now discounting. Do you require a discount or not? How much do they require? Maybe you are in the business of selling paint, and you have identified this guy can buy paint, and because they are building a flat somewhere, or they are building their house somewhere, and now you are asking yourself, now you are at the point of, if you take 10 tins, I'm going to sell you at X. If you take 100 tins, the price is likely to get better. So is it wholesale? Is it retail? Now you are negotiating the terms. You have already identified this guy is now good. Most of the time, there are a few of them might now fall off here, but ideally, if you do your good job very well on this the very first, the red, the orange, and the yellow, you are likely to have very few of them falling off here. Because by the time you get here with a customer, you have already established they require the product, you have established they have the budget, you have established the likely payment terms, you have established the kind of barriers that could be there, and you have already overcome them. So somehow between here, this thing starts now to stabilize. And if you are now at negotiating stage and someone asks you how much sales are you likely to close in the year, you are likely to be very close to that number, because you have now seen all the things that happens, and you are now able to negotiate. You can now go and close, place the order, then they pay, and that's now a happy customer. And now you now need to start making them happy, maintaining them. Based on your organization, this guy can actually now be handed over to a relationship management team who actually takes care of that customer. Now they are now onboarded. We said our job is to come from the prospecting to follow up and now bringing them. It's about contacting and onboarding, that whole journey. Now we are at, the customer is now on board. They have an account with us. They are present. Now everybody is happy. This guy in finance is happy. The money is coming in. The CEO is happy. The guys in technology, if you have one, are happy. Everybody is happy. Bonus is coming. You are making everybody happy. And the more you do this, the better. However, the reason you are a professional salesperson is that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. As you do this part here, it is an ongoing conversation of adding more on top here. There is a guy who have written the book 10X. I don't know, some of you might have read it. He says that as in sales, we cannot afford not to prospect even for a day, because most of the sales that you are closing today, for the B2B kind of selling, most of the sales that you are closing today, probably you started some of them last year, or even maybe the year before, or several months before. So if today you are not now filling up your pipeline on top here, it means in future, there will be a month of dryness. You will not be having anything to close. So every single day, every single month, every single week, you must be putting in and putting out. So this pipeline should never dry. You must be so scientific in the way you do it, based on these numbers that we say here between 7 and 25, or some even talk about 100, that if you want to close one customer, go for 100. And you can see I'm very careful. This number is not really written stuck on stone, because there are some factors that you look at based on how many customers you want to target. Some people will say you target 20 for one, others will say you target 100 for one, others 7 for one. But the issue is you need to check on, you are not wasting so much time just doing suspect, and you have no time to do prospecting, approaching, negotiating, and all these other things. You're going to have to balance your basic. And sometimes now, when we speak about pipeline management, for us to land to a number, it really largely depends on the industry you are in. Therefore, this conversation gets easier if you are speaking to you based on the kind of sales that you do. So if you are in selling cars, that number will be different. And even if you're selling cars, what type of cars? Are you selling luxury cars? Are you selling the mass market type of cars? You know, there are some cars, for example, they only start making it for you once you place the order. You could be selling aeroplanes. So if you are targeting to sell those jets, the conversation of how much you should target somehow really changes, comparing it with someone who is selling wheelbarrows or selling bicycles or selling cars or selling limousines. Those things will change. There is a wedding I attended some time back, and there was a very long limousine that was carrying the bride and all. That type of car, if you are now in the market selling those cars, you may not be targeting equal number of customers, like someone who is selling Probox, the ones that are used for business, by the business people, maybe selling Mirai and all, or someone selling the Isuzu D-Max. So you can see there is a lot that will now go into what exactly do you sell and why do you sell it and who is your target market. It is going to determine a lot here. So this generally gives you a very high level of how a sales pipeline moves from top to down and what you need to do about it. Now, before ending all the time on this particular slide, then the next question would be, so why a sales pipeline? Why do we need one? I saw this photo today somewhere and I loved it. It looked, from where I sit, it looks so much serene, like these guys are in peace, they are calm. They don't look like they are about to have a very tough conversation with their sales manager on why they did not meet. They look relaxed. And I thought, what a perfect example of how a normal salesperson should be. Because they did their pipeline well, this is the kind of life they should be leading. But majority of us are always worried. They're all over. You dread that session with your sales manager because you know your numbers are not looking well, you have not closed anything for the month. We want you to get to a point that because you are doing so well in your pipeline management, you are always at peace of mind. There is also something I call the clarity of mind. When you learn very well about the sales pipeline, you are very clear on where you are going. And I'm going to show you in the next slide on how to do that or why. Now, we can actually predict, what I was saying, selling can actually be scientific in nature because we can clearly predict how you are going to bridge the gap between where you are today and where you want to be by the end of the financial year or whatever metrics you are using. We can clearly tell that you are going to close it or not. We just need to look at the quality of your pipeline and the quantity of your pipeline. If those two are not adding up, we shall either know whether you will be at peace or you will be terrible. Your life will be full of chaos, you will be crying, and you'll be one of those people who say, sales is hard. Sales is not really hard, by the way. I'm not saying it's easy. Okay, that sounds very oxymoronic, but the issue is it can be as hard or as easy as you want it to be. And it all goes back to this pipeline. How are you an expert in doing your sales pipeline? If you are, this would be your life. Very peaceful, chewing your trees nicely, not bothered about what the world is thinking, because like a giraffe, you are on top there. What is happening under there? You are like almost at the blue ocean kind of a thing. That's another strategy session we can have. But the issue is you are on top of the rest. Your neck, everybody can see your numbers from wherever they are because you did your job well. It is you will be we can predict very well on where you are. Remember, guys, sales is a matter of coming from from 0 to the 100 that you want to meet. This number again will depend on what you sell and where you are and your company and your strength and all those things. But this journey between here to here can be as peaceful as it gets if you get the sales pipelining, the sales targeting very well. And then now it comes a lot with the clarity. Where and what are you selling? And therefore that brings me to the next slide. The question, and it's a philosophical question, is about, are you the traditional guy with so many arrows, with a bow, and you have gone out to hunt? And as you go to hunt, are you able to target nice, or do you just throw arrows, hoping and praying to the Lord in heaven? I'm going to throw so many arrows. I wish one of them hit something, and I'm going back home to take the kill. Or you could be a very sophisticated hunter, like this guy, the sharpshooter, guy who works for KBS, for example. They know the target, they know the enemy, they will get the right machines, very well equipped to target. You have to be very well in targeting. Don't waste your time throwing your presentations all over. Recently, to give you a real life story, someone sent me an email saying, "Dear Daniel, would you like to buy your first car?" I'm not giving this to brag, but really, the years I bought my first car is more than 10, 15 years ago, like in my 20s there, And now, because someone did not do their homework, they are hoping, and maybe they had told their manager, out of the target, the pipeline they gave the manager was, Daniel, likely to buy a 500K car, first car, because that's the rate they were. In fact, the cars on the list they had said was, you can get a Vitz, you can get this, and so those were but the issue is not that I can't buy it, but I am not really the target of the first car, because clearly that was the communication. So if you are talking about a first car, who is actually your target? Are you just throwing it all over, or are you really targeting the right person? Now, let me give you an example of someone hired by StanChart to sell to HNI, or the priority customers or whatever. Those customers must be very well defined. So who qualifies to be a priority customer? How much should be the earning per month? Once you get that number, then where am I likely to find these people? In the most of the organizations, what level are they likely to be in? Of course, it may vary from one organization to the other, but if someone must be earning, let's say, 500,000 per month minimum for them to be a target customer of that category, and then you are sending your emails and your brochures across the roads to people who are actually getting their first job, you are of course wasting your time. You will never meet your targets because you are now just throwing arrows out there. So it is very important to do the right targeting, and you must be very clear. That's why I'm talking of clarity of mind. You must be very clear. Who is your customer? Define that without doubt. You cannot be everything to everybody. Let me remind you, you cannot come here and fill your pipeline with everybody. Everybody whose email address you are trying to cheat to us is your suspect. Your suspect on the bare minimum must fit some level of criteria. They must be defined by you based on who is your target customer. You cannot be just throwing in everybody there. It must be very clear who you are going for, why you are going for them, and then the rest will follow on whether they are actually going to buy or not. So to save you at sell time and to save everybody's time, please make sure you are very good at targeting. Don't throw everything on the bush all over. Be the guy who is a sniper. I know most of you might have watched a movie where there is like these American movies of presidents and all, or like the movies like the Shooter, or another one I watched that was called I have just forgotten the name. The issue is they usually target the people they are going to shoot when they are in a crowd. Like if it's a politician, that politician will be likely be giving a speech somewhere. If you think about it, there are usually so many people in that crowd, so many of them. But this guy has got one job: to shoot at the right target. That is why the machine they use is sophisticated. The preparation that goes to it is also very well done, because they are not in the market to just go and shoot. They're in the market to go and shoot X. It is so clear. Go and shoot politician Y. Go and shoot. So think yourself now as a salesperson. You are in the market to sell, not to just shoot everybody. You are not like a mass shooter who goes and destroys, maybe shooting at a school or at a church. Or you have been given one single job: go and shoot at a customer whose definition is as follows: 1, 2, 3. And if you don't know what that is, for whatever reason, go to your manager and ask them, as a business, whom do we target? That should already be defined for you. If it has not been defined for you, your sales leader is actually failing you, setting you up for failure. Go then and demand, by the way, who exactly is our customer? And every business knows that. When a business is started, they know what type of a business they are. That is why you realize there are banks. Some of them are called investment banks. Others are called commercial banks. And even if you go to a commercial bank, it will have departments. There will be SME banking, corporate banking, retail banking. What they are trying to do is to give you an idea of who do we really target with our arsenal, with our product, with our services. Who do we go for? That must be so clear for you to start now filling up your pipeline, so that you can reduce as much as possible the number of dropouts that are going here. And the reason for that is actually about time. The most important resource that you have as a salesperson is time. You must be able to use it very well. Otherwise, you'll be wasting so much time speaking to everybody and nobody and hoping they become a customer. And I said, sales pipeline is not based on hope. It has to be based on science. Do your homework. Know your customer. We are used to KYC thing when it comes to compliance. People, especially in payments like this, they will collect documents to know who the customer is. I have the philosophy of KYC in sale, knowing your customer so well, knowing their pain point and so on. Now, let me go quickly to this. Before you go to the pipeline, you must be able to do what we call a sales strategy. And sales strategy always requires to align to the company's strategy. Because if you have ever listened to the top CEOs speak, they will talk about our next year will be doing X, Y, Z. We want to increase our sales from X to Y. Always, the first thing you speak about is revenue. And do you know what? The guy in charge of bringing revenue is you, the sales guy. So in fact, they talk more about you than anybody else. They start with you. So you have to align to the strategy. Answer the following question. Before you even start going to sell, you must know where do we compete. You must be very clear that I can only get pipeline filled with customers from this segment, or from this market, or from this country, of whatever definition you have done as an organization. It must be so clear, because you're talking of focus. It is the sharpshooter kind of selling. Be so clear on where you compete. Number two, be very clear about the value, the unique selling proposition that you bring on board. What product are you selling? What is it likely to do for whoever you are selling to? If you don't define that, then you can be anybody, and anybody without a road or the journey where they are going, any road is going to lead them there. That's what they say. So clearly, you must know that we sell to construction industry, and this is our unique selling proposition. It makes us stand up out of the competition. Think about the guys who run the 100 meters marathon. I mean, the 100 meters sprints. Those guys are all very well, and that's the kind of the market we are in. Very competitive, ruthlessly competitive, extremely competitive to a point of blood. So what is it, one thing or two things that's going to make you stand up the competition? You have to define that, so that when you come to the customer, you are able to tell them, I am better this. So these guys who run like this, you will see them towards the head of the road. They all draw either the head or the nose or the hand, whatever it is that you might be having that is longer, the computer is going to pick it. So even if the nose is your competitive advantage, draw it in and ensure that the nose is an advantage for you. If it is the head that you have very long ones, unlike some people, just draw in the head. Whatever is unique selling proposition, concentrate on it and shout more about it. Because in this market right where we are now, most of the things are the similar. A bank account is a bank account here. It will be the same. You can transfer money via mobile banking. So you're going to have to figure out what exactly do you sell. If it is a car, they are automatic, or it can carry how many loads. If it can move Mira from Meru to Nairobi. So why should I pick your product and not your Isuzu? Like, you have to be able to define what is that is unique about you, that the guy of Mira is going to buy you and not anybody else. If it is a tractor, all I need is the shabab being tilled. So why is your tractor better than the other? So think about it from your business that you are in and say, what unique proposition do you bring on board? What resources and the capabilities shall you utilize? As you're going to see in the next slide, this question is very critical, because there's some disqualification you will do simply because based on your resources, you cannot deliver. So quickly you move on, because you know this is a very good prospect. I wish I could, but based on our capability as a business, based on our product as a business, we cannot fulfill their need. So move on quickly, don't waste time. Go for your target. Unajua that sniper, that was not you. Next, can you sustain the value? Because we are in a value proposition kind of selling. Are you able to sustain it from there? This actually is derived more from your strategy as an organization, the way it has been put together. So then you now let your selling strategy align to what the company is doing. Otherwise, you'll be at cross purpose. You will never get the right resources you require, because you are selling things that nobody really cares about. But at the end of the year, it is your responsibility. You'll be asked, where is your number? If you want to read more about this, there's a link here. This is actually a snapshot from a YouTube video about strategy that I can share it and you listen to. We can put it on the chat box after I'm done. So let me take you quickly through how do you then ask the hard questions. I've been speaking about the right customer, the right targeting, filling with the pipeline with it, blah, 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 blah. So the question is, how then do I do it? I'll take you through 10 very good questions you need to ask. 10 that can help you. There could be more, there could be less somewhere there, but I love these particular ones. By the way, ask these questions and be very truthful to yourself about them. That way, they are going to save your time. And the major question of this is that, as I fill my pipeline, is it worth my valuable time? I just mentioned, as a salesperson, your most important tool is time, because you are in a rush against time. So are you able to really tell who is worth your time and who is not worth your time? Number one, the need factor. You must be able to ensure that your prospect actually needs your solution. Let me give an example. Suppose you are the guy selling Pampers for a company that produces Pampers. You may choose to waste your time sending presentations and everybody to all the people in the world. But a better person will say, I will only target the people who have gotten kids in the last 1 month, 6 months. I don't know. I don't know. At what point does a kid stop wearing pampers? Again, it also varies based on the children. But at least you need to do your homework and know that this type of a parent requires pampers because they have a small kid. So if you're selling a school fees product, let's say for an insurance company, you need to ensure that the customer you're speaking to actually needs the school fees product. How do you know that? They must be having some kids that are going to school, or they just got a kid. You cannot go selling a school fees product to a retiree. So you have to really think about this customer I'm taking my time with. Do they really need my product? I will leave that to you. The need factor. I will rush them through. We don't have enough time to really dig deeper, but you get the point. The next question is about the capacity factor. And here I'm talking about your capacity as a salesperson or the organization. So you are now pursuing this deal that will require you to, it's a $1 billion deal to maybe construct the express highway. Now, as the sales guy to sell those guys, then it will require 1 billion. Does the bank you work for, is it able to put in that type of money? Even if now you want the deal as an organization, when they come to do their due diligence, do you even have the capacity to deliver that? So based on that, you may want to, based on whether you have or not, if you don't, you may want to reduce your pipelining from the expressway kind of projects to the rural kind of, the rural grading kind of projects, because that's where the capacity is. So the question is, the customer you just want to talk to, does your organization have the capacity to deliver? If you answer that question well, now you are, remember we are here, you are now removing them from the suspect, taking them to the prospect, and then going, it is going down kidogo, slowly by slowly. Then the size factor. The size factor is very good, very critical. The customer you are going for, how big are they? Are they big enough for you? So let's say you have been given a target to sell 10 million worth of deals. And the customers you are talking to every day can only have a very small, they can never even consume the type of product you are in. You're gonna have to make, to be very good at going to customers that are big enough for you. And I put the word big in the quotes because it varies from one business to the other. Some may be too tiny for you, others may be too big for you. You might be, let me give the example of the HNI kind of, let's say selling a credit card or a loan or the type of accounts. One may be very big enough for StanChart, but they are too small enough for StanChart, but they might be very big for a microfinance, for example, or the other way around. There might be a customer who fits best in a circle and does not fit best in a commercial bank. So there is a lot of thinking and analysis that needs to go there. We say we don't want salespeople who are just out there jumping up and mark timing, jumping, throwing the arrows everywhere. Think, positioning, like talk. It must be science oriented, knowing what you are doing and why. The next is the decisioning factor. Decisioning means, am I speaking to the right guy? Is this person I'm calling every day able to make the kind of decision I want? You have to do your homework and ensure the person you are actually presenting to have the ability to make that decision. In fact, one of the training that we go through as salespeople is the ability to ask a question like, who in your organization makes this kind of decisions? No shame in asking that, so that you don't waste your time presenting to a guy somewhere, but that decision will never be made. You will spend your time and your energy presenting and all that, but they will never make a decision. So are they the likely guy to make that? So who makes this kind of a decision? So let's say you are selling to an organization like mine. If you are selling a sales product, you are likely to get traction with by ensuring you speak to me than speaking to the head of technology. Or if you are selling a product that does risk management, you are likely to go to someone whose job is in charge of risk management than coming to me. I may not help you in any way. Okay, the only help I can help is doing the introduction. But after that, you are wasting your time doing a follow-up with me. I don't even know how such a product looks like or it should work. Okay, maybe you sell computers or you sell servers. Now, we may be needing servers and organization, but I have no idea we do, because that's not my area. Everybody is busy with the area. You need to go to the person who is likely to make a decision about buying servers. And people confuse the decision with how high or low someone is in the organization. You might be selling servers, but the CEO will never help you. Maybe even the CEO does not even know. Maybe that decision is too low his level, or before he even says yes or no, he might be the one to sign the check, yes, but the head of technology must come and approve. So based on what you are selling, be very sure you know who is supposed to make that decision. The next is financial ability factor. Is the organization I'm talking to able to afford the product I sell? Can they afford a Boeing, I don't know, 101 or whatever number they use, 707? Are they able to afford a tractor this side? Are they able to afford a limousine? Are they able to afford a Mercedes? When you do all this read question, you will realize that the issue of even that you're too expensive or you're too cheap is a conversation that happens when there is misalignment between prospecting and the actual selling. If you prospected right, that question of it is too cheap will never come up. For example, let's say you are selling at DTW and you're the one selling Mercedes-Benz. You will never find a customer who walks in there and say, your Mercedes is too expensive. By the time they are walking there, they know, they already have done or you have done the work to introduce them. You know that this person coming in is able to buy this type of a car. So the person who like the example I was giving you of the person who wanted to sell me my first car, that might not be the customer you welcome to sell at a yard for a Jaguar or those big cars that may cost well for people who are running well. The time factor, let me go through it quickly. Time factor is a matter of, you have got between January and December to close your pipeline, to close your numbers. When is this organization you are pursuing so passionately likely to close? If in their timeline you realize that they will only be able to make this type of decision or this kind of selling in the next 2 years, you are likely putting them on hold somewhere and put a reminder of when you can call them later, than crying and putting them in your pipeline. So your pipeline will be looking $20 million pipeline. And the one of the pipelines there shall happen in the next 3 years, yet the pipeline you're presenting is supposed to be for this year. So you have to be very clear on the time factor. When is the customer actually likely to make this purchase? Now, the next thing is a barriers factor. What are the likely things that you need to overcome before you make this sale? And are you able to navigate them? Are they aligned with your values and whatever of a business? Let's say you have had or you have been able to establish that this guy says for them to buy this tractor from you, you must bribe the guy. So the question is, are you the briber? Are you the guy who bribes or not? Like, that's a barrier right there. Are you able to overcome it? So what are the factors that are likely to stop these people from making this decision? Another barrier could be they require financing. And somehow you have read on the news that they have been blacklisted by all the banks. They cannot get a loan by any bank in Kenya or in the world because of some. So yet you know the kind of product you sell them, they will require to take a mortgage or take a construction loan or take an asset financing kind of a product. Something we might tell you, intelligently thinking, this might not be the guy who will close for me, because where will they get the money? Keep them close, but don't put all your hopes on them. That's another thing you need to think about. Are there barriers that are likely to spoil my prospect of closing? The next one is about future prospect factor. And I like explaining this from a strategic partnership perspective. There are some customers that you're going to meet. They may not meet all the other criteria, maybe ability to pay and all, but you negotiate of a way to bring them on board, because through them, they might now open for you a whole list of other customers that you need. So it could be, for example, you are a telco or I don't know, let's say you are a bank that you want to sell some short-term loans to some end customers. And by nature, you are not a retail customer. So you can go to this telco, negotiate with them because they have the customers that you want, or this SACCO, or this insurance company, whoever that might be having the mass kind of customers that you want. You go and really reduce your barriers of entry for them so that you onboard them and then you access their customer. Or is this person someone that's likely to open for you other prospects in future? There is much more we can speak about that, but allow me to summarize it like that. Then there is the opportunity cost factor. If you spend all your time with this customer, are they likely to deny you time for anybody else? And maybe they are a very risky kind of a thing. It is the one that you say in 50-50. You are not very sure. So don't spend 80% of your time with a 50-50 kind of a lead and forget that you leave 20% of the time with an almost assured type of a lead. So we are talking of how now to manage your time. Where do you put the most time? So is this guy really worth your valuable time? Ask that hard question and establish the answer. Finally, I like calling this one the favor factor. The guy you are speaking to, how do they view you as an organization? Are they the guy who have got no respect about what you do? Or let's say you want to sell a very good product or a big product to a customer who have had a very painful experience with your organization. You might have to think hard on how likely are they to trust you if they have been through a painful road with the same company. So the issue, I'm not saying you have to abandon. The question is, you have to be, it is one of the barriers that you need to think about, that this guy are likely not to speak to you simply because they have had you must be situational awareness. Be very intuitive in knowing that this is likely to be an issue here. So then how do I navigate it? So if you consider this, you can either qualify or disqualify them based on it. And those are my top 10 kind of questions that you need to ask yourself. Speaking of number 2 of on number 3 of the size factor, there is this philosophy they speak about, the antelope versus the field mice. And the whole idea is you want to meet your sales target. This number is so big. So the question is, are you likely to meet it by hunting antelopes or by hunting mice? And the analogy is given of a lion. A lion is fully capable of capturing, killing, and eating a field mouse. Very capable. But if it went and succeeded, it went hunting and it's just hunting the mouse here, one mouse here, another mouse there. Even if it caught 10, are they enough to feed it? That's a question you need to ask yourself. The type of customers you are hunting today. If I ask you, where is your sales pipeline? Here, there. How much are you likely to make from customer 1? 1,000 shillings. How much are you likely to make from the customer 2? $10. How much are you likely? Then we add it up. Are you likely to meet your sales target with those type of customers? Are you not better spending time with antelopes? And this is now where qualifying the lead comes in. Asking those critical 10 questions so that you can go for those big customers that are likely to help you meet your number. Don't be cheated by anybody. We are in sales, guys. We're gonna have to meet our sales targets. Be the person who is good enough to go for quality type of customers that are going to tick all the boxes, so that it even makes your life easier here. Such that the more you put here, less and less of them, more and more of them are likely to proceed from the suspect all the way down. Otherwise, how good the life would be if this thing was to be straight. You have added 100 here and you have let out of the payment level 100. You targeted so well, you are so good at what you do, you good at how you qualify customers, you no longer just throw your arrows all over, you are getting better and better. And when you target 100 customers, automatically 100 customers are going to be onboarded down here, what a perfect world it would be. Not very ideal, but that's why we need to get. By being very good at how we qualify, we ask hard questions. Be very good at asking hard questions. Get very good at it because it is going to save you a lot of time. And as they say, go big or go home. A lion is fully capable of capturing, killing, and eating a few mouse. But it turns out that the energy required to do so exceeds the caloric content of the mouse itself. So you might add so much time presenting to customers, but the energy you shall use to present exceeds the content, the caloric content. This is now where we are talking about the amount of money you make from them. It will be too small compared to the energy you put in. Ideally, a lion must spend its day hunting and hunting antelopes. Otherwise, such a lion that has spent its day hunting and eating field mice would slowly starve to death. And let me tell you, as a sales guy, you organize a very hallowed position in your organization. You are the people who feed everybody else. Every single day, people wake up to serve customers. Salespeople are in charge of bringing those customers. So it follows, therefore, logically speaking, if salespeople are not doing the job, everybody else have no job to do, and people have to be let go or something like that. We are going to starve our organization to death if we don't do our job right as salespeople. And that's a powerful responsibility given to us by God. Remember how it is for you bring in a sale, people, the company is able to pay salaries, it pays everybody salaries. Those people go to spend money at their mama boga, the butchery, they go and they're able to pay school fees. You can therefore see these people are also able to send money back home to their maybe their parents in the village. Then the mother in the village is able to go and buy sugar. It is a whole chain that all begins with a sale. Once closed sale, it's expected. In Agojewa, it's being waited for by so many people. Some you don't even know. It is so important the kind of job you do. You're going to have to be so passionate about it and a bit extremely, extremely serious. You must be playing at the level of excellence because it's not child's play here. It is a job that must be done so well because everybody else is depending on it. Otherwise, everybody is going to starve to death. So a lion needs an antelope. Antelopes are big animals. They take more speed and strength to capture, yes, and kill. But once killed, they provide a feast for the lion and everybody else. The pride here, I'm saying, the pride is so big, you don't even know it. You will feed yourself. Of course, you'll be paid yourself. But the number of people are going to benefit out of that are so many. Some you know, some you don't. So do your job so confidently and proudly, knowing you are the savior of the world. They say nothing happens in life until a sale happens. So you are so powerful. And if you go out there in the market knowing that's what you do, you will be able to do your job so well and confidently. So ask yourself at the end of the day, did I spend the today chasing mice or hunting antelope? When you have the conversation with your head of sales next time, he or she might ask you, where is your pipeline? Otherwise, what they're asking you is simple. Did you spend the day chasing mice or did you get us an antelope? Otherwise, we might actually starve to death. I got these quotes from some books I love reading about sales. And one says that sales is about helping others see and achieve what they did not think was possible. So you are the guys that are opening out opportunities for people. Sales must be embraced by everybody because what we do is to help people. And sales happen all over. Hospitals are actually selling. They're selling their ability to treat people. People are flocking there. They expect a good experience. Even a morgue actually is actually selling. Why do you take your loved one's body to this and not the other? Even on the very unlikely places, people are actually selling. Even a guy who sells coffee is actually hoping that he can sell more. But if you don't sell more, we talked about either quality or the quantity. He's going to sell quality and target people who can afford it. That's why some of people will be taken after our life here. Others will be taken to Lee. Others will be taken to another one. They are all in the business of selling. Don't be cheated. They are actually trying to say, they have a board that sits and agrees, how shall we execute our business going next? So a job as a salesperson is to help people see and achieve what they did not think was possible. And if you think about it, we need to be very strong salespeople. Weak salespeople lacking confidence in how they help customers are the ones who fail qualifying leads the most. You don't do your job well. You don't believe that you are doing something important. So you're even worried to ask the tough questions, okay? And speaking of a pipeline, let it be a pipeline that to be a water faucet, not a sewer pipe. By sewer pipe, we mean the type of things that you pour in here. How quality are they? Like, don't fill your pipe with crap. They say garbage in, garbage out. We were actually just saying we wish that this can be prospected better so that whatever gets in here will also reach here. It's not going to drop off. So be very good at what you put in at the pipeline level. Let it be a water faucet, not a sewer pipe. Of course, you all know what is found in a sewer pipe. You don't want all that kind of crap there. You want good things in your pipeline. Quality, quantity, yes, but qualified quantity. It is made of something that's good, something that's likely to close. Finally, I like telling people we are not perfect, and don't even try to be perfect, at least not now. You are not really likely to be perfect anyway. If you meet someone who tells you they are perfect, run away. That person is not sincere. I believe in the philosophy of Kaizen, improving, continuous improvement on what you do. All these things I'm talking about, we can train as much as possible. We can do so many seminars as much as possible. We can sing at the topmost of our mouth, but the real thing is applying it. The customer you speak to tomorrow, starting to ask the right question. You might not get it well the first 2, 3, 5, 10, but every day you're actually getting better. Every day you are sharpening your art. Every day you are building yourself. And one of the best ways that I have found of sharpening our minds at our personal level is taking a book and reading it. Today we spoke about prospecting. These books, the 4 books I'm displaying on your screen, are one of the best I have read on how to prospect right. They will teach you slowly by slowly. You don't require a seminar all the time. You may not have the opportunity, or even some of these seminars cost a lot of money. But you know what? If you are not calling a guy like Brian Tracy or Mark Hunter to give a talk to your organization on sales, it costs millions of dollars to bring them on here. But you can learn from them through buying their book that may cost you about 1,000 Kenya shillings. 1,000 Kenya shillings, then it's not even enough for lunch for some people. Some people will drown a whole bottle of whiskey that is costing 3K, 5K, others 20K, as they sing Sipagwigwi and allow me to enjoy my life. You know, as you sing that, you can actually also sharpen your acts by getting yourself read a book a month or something that is about sales. Sharpen your acts. That is a matter of progress. Getting better every single time. You can be the best you want by continuously getting better. Start at who you will be in December in terms of selling. It's not the guy you started being in January. You're getting better in prospecting as much as you can. And you know what? Ali said, you are today who you will be in 5 years. Like, you will not change anything. You can be the same person today, wait for 5 years, you'll still be the same person. It is like some of the people you go to, my friend had taken me into their village some time back, and we found a guy that he told me they were in school together in primary. The guy was so worn out of the illicit brews and all. We went like in December. 2-3 years later, again, we went to the same place. It's in a place in Gashie. We still met the same guy, same state. He was wearing the same clothes. He was still borrowing us the same amount of money to go and buy brew. you can actually be that kind of a guy without knowing that you have not changed a little bit. Nothing have improved in you. So you are who you will be in 5 years, except for the people you meet and the books you read. And what I believe so much about inspiring people in excellence, because excellence does not give any space for comfort zone. Excellence is painful. Excellence is rough, but it is so sweet when you know you are at your top of your game. You are so peaceful, like that giraffe I showed you on top of there. You are not running helter-skelter. People run all over. You know your target. You know your pipeline. You have met the numbers. You are at peace. But the books you read will actually change a lot. Invest so heavily in sharpening your axe and getting better at whatever you do. Thank you so much for your time. And I know I went beyond the prospected time, but here we are. We did it. We thank God. And I hope you are inspired to get better. There is so much to speak about sales. We cannot cover all of it in this session. I believe that we can have many more in future. You can reach out to me or to Yusudi, my friends at Yusudi. These are conversations we can always have. And nothing makes me happier than seeing some people getting better at sales. Because again, as we said, nothing happens until a sale happens. I tell people that they say, I'm so bad at sales, yet they have spouses. You're gonna have to know how to convince someone to take a risk on you. No, sales we sell out of hope, like the Bible says. You are convincing a lady there that they can take a risk and spend their whole life with you, and you'll be a good partner. Or you are a lady convincing a gentleman, just the way we go and convince a customer that they can take a risk with our products and we are going to change their lives for better. You are negotiating in a bank hall that you want to jump to the queue. You are negotiating in a hotel that you want to be served faster than everybody else because you are running into a meet. There is a lot of persuasion and negotiation that goes into life that everybody should be able to do it professionally, to do it very well, to do it passionately, because you still get kids and you need to convince them why. There's nobody who asks more why questions than a child. So you should be able to convincingly and professionally answer them. And that is the art of persuasion, the art of selling, the art of convincing the other part that they should take your opinion and not theirs, or you can at least meet at a point. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what I wish you. And may God be with you as you pursue excellence. Oh, I need some water right now.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Hey, kidogo hivi tupeleke kanisani, but I love this sales church. It's actually very impactful, and I love that every time we call you on board, you end your presentations with a set of books that we need to read, and that is quite challenging. Watu wasipangwingwi kama mimi, tafadhali tuanze kupangwa na tusome vitabu. That is my biggest takeaway. We need to be better than we are from 5 years from now. So because of the interest of time, I know we've gone over time, but over time, but I'm sure we've all enjoyed this session and we want a little bit more of it. So allow me to go through the questions here today. Daniel, as you grab your water, I hope you're ready to go through these questions because I see some of them are quite tough. The first one goes, what's the best response when the question of price comes before the value being communicated isn't understood? Daniel, I hope you're still here.
Okay, most of the times that question of price comes in when people have not yet understood your value. So how you go around it is like someone just asks you, I want to sell you this product. Then the first thing they ask is, how much is it? Immediately, you need to counter it with, that's exactly the reason why I need to show you something. Or for us to go to the price, I'm going to show you how we reach to the price first, then I'll tell you you have to be able to persuade whoever you are selling to. First of all, listen the value proposition that you have on the table before you jump into the pricing. Because when someone asks you, how much is it? How much is usually a very wide question. It depends on so many factors. How much is a matter of some noise. There's a young one who is with us in speak. There's a lot of the issue is that how much it is will have got so many options. So you must be able to come out of that question very tactfully in terms of you be able to first of all explain the value proposition before you speak price, so that even when you now speak the price, it will be based on a very good reason why you should be able to charge X. And when you speak to that customer, ensure you bring out the strength, especially let's say you are selling to a C-suite kind of a business. If you speak to them about their KPI, how it's going to help them meet their numbers, how it's helped them going to meet their revenue targets, maybe their cost targets, and so on, you can be sure the price will be the least of the conversation. So be very, and I say this, guys, we are not perfect, and don't worry on how you do it. Keep trying it again and again. And that's why I'm telling you, listen to YouTube issues. They're usually even role plays of how people navigate around that question. It comes very well, but don't be put in the trap of speaking price before you communicate value. That is a trap that you don't want to get into.
Thank you, Daniel. Avoid the rat traps. Message of ads. I'll move on to the next one. I see Karogo saying very informative session. Nyamongo asking you a series of questions, which I think are a bit outside what you're discussing, but I believe is very interested in hearing answers to this. Why should one buy from you when pricing, quality, delivery terms, payment terms, and customer service is same?
Okay, so I would challenge you to go back and build value. If you want to survive, I want to send you Nyamongo and to give you a very specific assignment, because you will sound like someone who wants to know more. I want you to get yourself a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy. And there is another book called the Blue Sky Strategy by Dr. Jacob. Those two books are going to help you navigate that question. The only way you can get out of this is, number one, price cut. And you don't want to base your business on price cut all the time. If everything is equal in all aspects, then the only thing that comes at a risk is pricing. It is like by selling rice or maybe selling chapatis that are the same in everything. If everything comes to the same and the satisfaction and all is the same, you will be finding that the price of chapati along this street is always 20 bob. So if you wanted to attract more customers that are not loyal to you, you are only likely to go and say the chapatis are now 19 bob. Yeah, you get what I mean? So, but for you to get out of that rat race, you're gonna have to build value. So if it's your organization or it's your company, I would challenge you to really think hard on either creating more. You remember I spoke about the USP, the unique selling proposition. You're gonna have to figure out why guys need to buy from you. Is it there are three things that you could do. Speed of delivery, you can price it higher than everybody else. Number two, availability. Maybe you are the 24-hour guy, or you are available when everybody else have closed. That one now, you can price it higher, or you can actually be the only guy that they buy from. The other one that we speak about, of course, is the price. You might be the most well-priced. The other one usually about customer service. The other one is about trust. Do they trust you more than they trust everybody else? So you're gonna have to work on building that trust, and so many. And so that question, by the way, can be a course of a whole day training or discussion. That is, yeah.
Okay, I also collected a lot of that I didn't know. And Nyamongo continues with another question. In an interview now, I think this is as a sales manager. In an interview as a sales manager, where do you start if offered the job?
A good question. So if I was offered a job as a sales manager, that's a very interesting one. I'm not looking for a job though, but if I was, the first thing I would do is I love where I am and what I'm doing. That's what I mean. The first thing I'll do is actually ask them the question I spoke to about where do we sell, what do we sell, I will want to a thorough understanding of their strategy. Let me put this up. I don't know whether I still have the power.
Yes, you do.
There you go. So I wanted to show you this slide here. If I was, even by the way, I'm likely to ask this question even before I accept the job. You can see the screen.
Yes.
I'm likely to dig deeper into this question even before I accept the job. Okay, well, based on where I am in life right now, before I say yes to a job, I need to know to make sure I'm going to make a difference. And how I make a difference is all based on this. What are we selling? That one is going to tell me whether where they are selling is a place I can go to or not. There is a job I was once given, and it was a very well-paying job, but they wanted us to sell, they wanted a guy to sell cigarettes. So I personally don't know how to sell a cigarette. I have never had one. You get what I mean? Like, even if they paid me 1 million per day, I will fail in my, I may say that, like they say, the Virgin Atlantic guy says that when you are given a big opportunity, take it first and then you go and learn to do it. Sometimes I don't think that theory would apply, because how it may not even be in tandem with my values of me selling that item. So like before I say yes to a job, I want to know where they compete, what they sell, what are the unique selling propositions, what are the resources that are available to me as a salesperson to make the numbers come. And I would like to know their operational excellence. How do they sustain the value? I don't want to be the one spoiling my name there, selling a very good product, only for everybody not to deliver that product. So these 4 questions can really guide me on whether I'm accepting that job or not. Okay, for your side, you said how to, once you have already now been given a job. So these are the questions I'll go to my manager and ask. Okay, I'm here, ready to serve, sir, at your service, madam. Okay, so direct me. I am your soldier. I am your boot on the ground. Show me where to shoot. Tell me the target guy. Then they are going to, or you may now have that. You might be even the one now helping them to do that. But at least you must have some clarity on where you're going. If you are not sure of where you are going, a narrow road will take you there, man.
Okay, I hope that answers Nyamongo, and not only him, it's also relevant to all salespeople when you're offered a job. You need to know what you're selling. Don't be selling your soul. I'll skip a few questions again for the sake of time. Please forgive me, but allow me. I see Hannah here also asking a very interesting question. Sales and business development have been used synonymously for a while. Is this accurate in terms of lead generation? How do these two differ?
Very good question. So I know most people actually, you can even add another one there, marketing. People don't differentiate between marketing, sales, and business development. Those 3 things are totally different, or rather, they are different. They might be related, but they are very different. In business development, you are tasked in looking at developing new products, developing new markets, trying new market segments, and so on and so forth. But in sales is so specialized. You are not being told to go out there and check things like new market or where we can sell and all. It is already defined by the business development guy. The business development guy have done their job, put in the right platform, put in the right resources. Now the job of the sales guy is to go out there and hit the ground running sell and sell and sell. Like you have no time to do innovation and OSG. Even if you find an issue that need to be innovated, you should bring it back to the business development people to tackle it out there. The sales people, their job is one and only one: keeping the pipeline getting filled and having that transition from onboarding to closing, onboarding to that's your job as a sales guy. All these other distractions, don't waste your time doing them, unless as an organization you work for, you are in charge of all of them and you must be very clear about it. But if you are in sales proper, your job is to just go, bring in the customer on board, they are billed, go, bring in customer on board. That's the issue. But innovation, product development, and all those things, those belongs to different departments. On very high level, that would be the difference. The guys who are doing the broader strategies of market, of product will be in BD. Sales, you actually very specialized. You are told go and sell to segment X or go sell product Y. Those are again other aspects of how to structure your sales. Even as a sales manager, for example, if you've got anybody in sales here, to be very fair to your team, just make sure you clarify for them that your job is to sell to this SME market. Don't talk to me about CG corporate. If you get any other type, hand them over to someone who is specialized in that. That's another way of arranging your team. Whichever way you arrange it, make sure it's so clear. Clarity of mind is important. Where are they supposed to go to? Give them that direction at least.
Thank you, Daniel, for that. I honestly want to go to your church. It feels so interesting to be part of what you're saying. And I think that is also part of the sentiments of some of the people. So I'll just go through them. I see most of them are appreciations, much inspiring. Thank you, Daniel, for the challenging talk, truly challenging. That was profound. Thanks, Daniel and Yesudi, most welcome. Thank you for a very informative session. Thank you. I think most of them are just thank you. So perhaps I'll just go through this last question. Thank you, Daniel, for the informative session. Any advice for those beginning sales training at Yesudi? And in this case, you can make it general for those who are just starting out their sales career or those who are just quite young in their journey in sales.
Good question. So there is a talk I give that is called the Sales 101. Anybody who is starting sales, you need to build your career on 5 pillars. Love for yourself, love for the trade, love for customer, love for the process, and love for continuous growth. 5 pillars I teach guys that if you want to start well on a very good platform, on a very good foundation, you must know that number one, you are the responsible. Sales have got no space for excuses. I didn't meet my numbers because my manager. I didn't meet my numbers because my company. I didn't meet my numbers because you're gonna have to know that you own your numbers. You are the CEO of your life. You're gonna have to deliver. Sales have got very rich room for excuses. Once you know that, then you have to do the right things that are necessary. Build yourself to be that person. Then you move into how you relate with the customer. Then you move into how you relate with the sales process. Part of the prospecting I've spoken to here is about the sales process and how you do it. Then you move to how you continuously get better. How do you add value to yourself? A salesperson who is starting today to not be the same in terms of capacity with the same person you will be 5 years from now. You must have grown. You must have been able to do it better. The no's will come all the time. Nobody hears more no's than a salesperson. But the no's now have a different effect on you 1 year later than they were when you started. Some people, they are called no, they cry, they moan. But there is a way we usually turn those no's fire, like the way you put fire you add firewood into a fire. There are sometimes now no's becomes like that. So there must be that capability to grow. But the biggest challenge I would give you is own your life, own your career. It is on your heart. Read, research, listen to podcasts, listen to There's a lot of information on YouTube University that you can read. Even like even the guy I'm about to show you is very good at this. You can go and search for him and get a reading about the sales 101 and all. I think that is more what I would give at now.
Okay, thank you so much for that again. I believe you've shared links to these videos on the chat box, right?
Yes, I have. I just play this one. It's less than 3 minutes. Let me actually play it far. Then we can head with it. If there is no other question.
I'll just go right ahead.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, have a listen to this. Why you sales? It's called.
Okay.
The subject is
Okay. Maybe your pipeline doesn't suck, but that would put you in a very small minority of salespeople. Having worked with thousands of salespeople, I have consistently found that 90% of what's in most salespeople's pipelines is pure junk. What's amazing is that this is totally avoidable. And in this video, I'm going to show you why most salespeople's pipelines suck and, more importantly, how to fix this simple problem. Check it out. Number one, they're not disqualifying. It's time to stop trying to sell to everyone. Great salespeople recognize that most prospects are not good prospects, and they're willing to disqualify those that are not a good fit. Be willing to trim the fat off of your pipeline if someone's not a good fit. This is going to free up your time to actually focus on the best prospects. That's going to improve the quality of your pipeline. Number two, they haven't asked enough questions. Most salespeople are so focused on pitching their own product or service that they don't really fully understand what's going on in their prospects' world. It's time to learn as much as we can about our prospects by asking about their challenges, about their objectives, their budgets, their decision-making processes, and all of those other key steps that we need to understand in order to determine whether a prospect is qualified. By doing this, when we actually add someone to our pipeline and we say, this person is a 50% likelihood of closing, we really know what we're talking about. Number three, not getting feedback. Throughout the sales process, you want to get constant feedback from the prospect on how they feel about your discussions. Little questions like, does this make sense in your world? Or do you agree with what I just said? Will actually let you know you're truly on track. Because if the prospect says, yes, this does make sense, you know that you're on the right track. But if they say, no, actually, not so much, you're also going to understand that now we have to change direction in order to get back on track. This is going to improve the quality of your pipeline manyfold. So there is why most salespeople's pipelines suck and how to avoid it. So which of those ideas did you find most useful? Be sure to share below in the comments section and I will respond to every.
Okay, there you go, guys. I hope that makes sense. And I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That was very insightful. I believe all of us are walking out of this with very impactful knowledge. And I think we are going to view sales in a different way. I didn't know you have to be that focused in terms of your sales, of your pipeline. And I think your method of also impacting the knowledge in us is quite unique. I've never had a guest who actually takes notes on their presentation, and that really helps to get the point home. And honestly, everyone of us has something to bring to their sales journey from here on. Once more, I really want to appreciate your time and honor to grace us with your presence and share your sentiments and journey with us. Thank you so much. At this point, perhaps before we just end, I know we are over time. I'll want Esther to come in and say one or two things about the community, Africa Sales Community, who are the pioneers of this event powered by ESODI. Esther?
Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you, Daniel, for coming in and sharing a few words with us. We really appreciate it. I hope in a few minutes you can be able to see my screen. I quickly want to introduce you to the Africa sales community. Alan, once the screen is up, just let me know.
It is
So I want you to the African sales community, and this is the growth tribe for sales professionals in Africa. So as you've heard Daniel say, sales can be very, very difficult, and you don't need to go through that hard process alone. And this is why the community is here for you. The community is here for you to ask questions, to get answers from people who are in the same situation as you, or people who are more experienced than you. You can also get job opportunities within the community and events such as this. So to join the community, you can search for the African sales community on LinkedIn. Just go to the Africa sales community on the companies section of LinkedIn, and you will be able to see the page that is on your screen. Once it's there, just hit the sign up form, hit the sign up button here, and it will open for you a form whereby you can fill in your application. It will only take a minute or so for you to fill in your information. Once you fill in your information, it's going to take you to another window whereby you're going now to actually join the community that is hosted on a platform that is called the Mighty Networks. So this is how the community looks like. Once you've already filled the form, you'll be automatically redirected to Mighty Networks, whereby you just need to add your name and perhaps some few other additional details, and you will join the community. I've already sent the sign up form and the link to the community, to the LinkedIn community on the chat. So just have a quick look at it, and we'll see you inside the community. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Esther. We wish you could have scrolled a bit so that we get to see what is communicated in the community space. Perhaps to a poll. I have quite a recent poll, and I don't know if Daniel, I know this is last minute, but Daniel, this is a very controversial question we've had in the community. Yes, Esther, right under that one. And we've not settled on a question, and no, not that one. I'll just read it from my screen. The question is, what strategy is most successful for you in driving new sales leads and conversions? Is it casting a wide net, or less scale and more targeted? We've never, yeah, that is the question. We haven't really got a substantial answer for this. And being a topic on lead qualification, perhaps you can give your 2 cents on this as well as we wrap up. I promise you're not doing anything else. Daniel?
I actually think I answered this question. If you would allow me to put up my screen, I can show you actually where the answer is. I like that question very much. So the question was whether to do more or more targeted. And I mentioned it and said, the way to increase your sales is usually two-front. Either you increase the quality of the customers you are going for, or the quantities of the activities you do here. And my approach is usually more of a hybrid. And that's why I was giving the numbers here and saying, let me see. There you go. Here. So I was saying, the number of people you put in here, it is very much dependent on so many, the organization you are in. So if you are in a mass market kind of a product that you sell, the more the merrier, of course. One of the reasons why an organization like Equity or Safaricom, or we can even use those two, they identified their big customers being the mass market. they put their products to be very approachable or very attractive to that market. Right now, those two organizations are unbeatable. So the question is, did they go for quality or quantity? It is actually based on what product you sell and what is your target market. And the issue of, do I go for 7 or do I go for 100? Again, I say it is very much dependent on which organization are you selling. So if someone came and asked that question to me, the first thing I'll want to understand is what exactly do they sell? And whatever they sell, who do they sell it to? So if you come and tell me you sell to the airline, there can only be as so few airlines in Kenya or in the world for that matter. If you sell to the banks, I would rather you go for a bank that's going to, one bank gives you huge success than having 100 banks, because when will you ever hit 100 banks to be your customers in Kenya? They are not even available. So the size of the market, the profile of the market, and so on is dependent. So from where I see, that question is not a yes or no. It is very subject to the type of product, the target market, and so on and so forth. There are some banks in Kenya, for example, a whole fully fledged bank. It is started, it's doing well, it's profitable, but what they do, they're a corporate bank. A guy like Daniel cannot just walk in there and open an account. They have made a decision that they don't want mass, they want very well targeted, wealthy individuals who own companies. And the number there might be they only have 1,000 customers or 10,000 customers, and they are happy. But the success of a bank, let's say like an Equity on the other side, is based on the numbers. That's why they are doing very well. Let's say, for example, in Congo, and the CEO have been singing about it all over, and the way it is growing up well, because they go to the market because they are very good at serving that low segment of the client. And it does not mean they don't have the corporate banking segment. They have it, but it is also very targeted. You will rarely then see it on a billboard, because the way they sell it, they have got a way of targeting it. So the number of customers, now the business is giving KPIs to the different business heads. The guy in corporate banking might be given, we want 100 businesses of this size. The guy in retail banking will be given a target of millions of customers in a target. So does it mean that either is better or not? No, it all depends on the strategy. It all depends on the product that we are selling. So you cannot pick a corporate banking product and hope that you are going to sell it to 5 million customers in 1 year. Even those customers are not available. So that question is usually it's not a straight yes or no. There's so much that you need to go to it. And we need to avoid that trap by being more scientific in sales, being more analytical, being more able to analyze the market, the customers, their pain points. So the problem you are solving in the market as a business, how big is that problem? Who are willing to pay for that problem? So if you want to be flying people from Nakuru, JKIA, and you want to launch a product, an airplane from there, or from Nyeri to Nairobi, you want to start an airline there, how likely is it going to succeed? How many people are you likely to fly? How many, all those are questions that goes to the strategy. And now when you come here and formulate your sales strategy or even your corporate strategy, it will be based so much on how well you answer these 4 questions. So more or less, it depends. That's my answer. It's quality versus quantity. There must be a hybrid of a thing to be done.
And that's where I want to cut you off, because utaturudisha kanisani. But we don't have the time for that. Once more, I'd like to apologize to our audience for overstaying our time by an hour. But with great knowledge comes a great sacrifice. And tonight we had to sacrifice a bit of our time. And I'm sure our sales strategy will change from here forward. Once more, thank you so much, Daniel. And as Esther said, check our LinkedIn page for upcoming events. I'll just lightly mention the most upcoming events. That is a physical event of Women in Sales, which will be happening in early June. And late June, again, we have a 3-day webinar going through the entire sales cycle in depth. Also mark that on your calendars. Thank you once more for all of you for coming out tonight, and do have a lovely evening. Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you, audience, for being patient. Good night. Have a lovely one.